In the sun-scorched village of Umuke, where the red earth clung to bare feet and hardship filled every hut, lived a 22-year-old girl named Amara. Though still young, her eyes were heavy with sorrow, deeper than her years. Since the death of her mother 5 years ago, peace had become a stranger to her. Her father, Pa Ifeanyi, once a gentle palm wine tapper, had become a bitter drunk. To make matters worse, he remarried a spiteful woman, Mama Nkechi, who treated Amara like a slave. She cooked, fetched water, tilled the soil, and slept hungry more nights than she could count. The villagers pitied her, but fear of Pa Ifeanyi's temper kept their lips sealed. Then came Ebuka, a young man from Enugu. He wore torn clothes and threadbare shoes, but his eyes were alert and curious. For 3 months he worked on Pa Ifeanyi's farm, clearing brush, planting yam, and carrying heavy loads from dawn till dusk. Yet Pa Ifeanyi never paid him a dime. "Next week," he'd say, "come tomorrow. I'll pay you once I sell something." But the payment never came. One scorching afternoon, Ebuka stormed into the compound, weary and frustrated. "Sir, I need my money today," he said. Pa Ifeanyi scratched his head, looked around, and his gaze settled on Amara, who was sweeping the compound under the blazing sun. Then he cackled cruelly. "You want your money?" "Yes, sir, please. I worked hard for 3 months," Ebuka replied. "Then take that girl," Pa Ifeanyi said, pointing at Amara. Ebuka blinked. "Take who?" "My daughter. She's useless here. Take her to the city. That will be your payment." Amara dropped the broom in disbelief, her lips trembling. "Papa, please." "No." "Shut your mouth," he barked. "You should be grateful someone wants you." Mama Nkechi crossed her arms and smirked. "Let her go. One less burden." Amara collapsed to her knees, crying, begging for mercy, but no one listened. Ebuka stared at her. She was weary and frail, yet something about her radiated strength and quiet beauty. "She's beautiful," he murmured under his breath. "What did you say?" Pa Ifeanyi asked. "I'll take her," Ebuka said quietly. And just like that, Amara's life took a turn. With tears streaming down her cheeks, she packed her few clothes into a black nylon bag. No one embraced her. No one prayed for her. Her little half-brother, Somto, stood by the side of the hut, silently weeping as he waved goodbye. Amara followed Ebuka to the city, unsure of what awaited her. The journey to the city was long and dusty. The bus rumbled through forests, towns, and sprawling roads. Amara sat by the window, clutching her bag, her face expressionless. She had left the only life she ever knew, however painful it had been, and was headed to a world she could not imagine. Inside, she whispered silent prayers. "God, please don't let this man be like my father. Please, give me peace. I'm tired." Ebuka remained quiet throughout the ride, his gaze fixed straight ahead. But every now and then his eyes flickered toward Amara, watching her, studying her, sighing to himself. He could see her exhaustion, the burden of pain she carried like old luggage. When they arrived in the city, everything felt unfamiliar. Tall buildings, fast cars with shiny headlights, and the endless noise of horns and people rushing about. Amara held her bag tightly, trying to mask her confusion. She had never seen a place like this before. They boarded a small kike tricycle that took them down a quiet lane. At the end of it stood a large black gate surrounded by flowering hedges. Ebuka knocked. A few seconds passed, and the gate creaked open. Amara's mouth parted slightly as she stepped inside. The compound was neat and serene. The main house stood tall and white, almost glowing in the sunlight. Flower beds framed the path. A fountain bubbled softly at one corner. It felt like something out of a dream. But they didn't stop at the big house. Instead, Ebuka led her to a smaller building tucked behind. It had one bedroom, a sitting area, a compact kitchen, and a bathroom. The boys' quarters, he called it. "This is where I live," Ebuka said, flashing a soft smile. Amara looked around, amazed. The space was humble, but it was clean. It had windows that opened, a roof that didn't leak, and a bed covered in fresh sheets. It was a world away from the tattered mat in her father's kitchen. I just got a job as a security man here, he explained. The madam who owns the house gave me this place for free. She stays in the main building with her only son. Amara's brows lifted slightly. Really? Yes, Ebuka nodded. She's a good woman. Said I can live here as long as I keep the compound safe. Amara stepped in and took a deep breath. Peace. For the first time in forever, she felt it. If this is God's plan for me, she whispered, then so be it. Ebuka watched her carefully. Are you okay with it? She nodded slowly. Yes, I feel peace. Something I haven't felt in a long time. 2 days after arriving in the city, Amara woke to the scent of fried eggs and ripe tomatoes drifting in from the kitchen. Sunlight slipped gently through the curtains, warming the room like a gentle embrace. For the first time in years, she had slept without fear. No shouting, no slaps, no empty stomach. Just quiet. She stretched and stepped into the kitchen. There was Ebuka, stirring something in a pan. Good morning, she said softly. He turned to her with a smile. Morning, Amara. I made breakfast. Slept well? She nodded. Like a newborn. They shared a light laugh, the kind that felt natural, easy like maybe healing had begun. After breakfast, Ebuka wiped his hands and looked at her. Get dressed. I want you to meet someone. Who? Amara asked, curious. You'll see. Just wear something nice and simple. She changed into a soft gown, one of the few clothes Ebuka had bought for her since they arrived. She combed her hair gently, unsure of why her heart was pounding. Together they walked past the boys' quarters, down the flower-lined path to the main house. The tall black door opened slowly, and standing there was a graceful woman in her late 50s. She had eyes that seemed to see right through you, but kindly. Good morning, Ma, Ebuka greeted. Morning, Ebuka. Her eyes moved to Amara. And who is this beautiful lady? This is Amara, he said. My wife. Amara's eyes widened slightly, but the woman only smiled warmly. So this is the bride you told me about. She's even lovelier than you described. She stepped aside. Come in, my dear. Amara entered hesitantly. The living room sparkled polished floors, glittering chandeliers, and furniture that looked like it belonged in a magazine. The woman gently held Amara's hand. You are welcome. I can already tell you're special. I like your spirit. You remind me of someone I once knew. Amara blushed. Thank you, Ma. Call me Madam Ninena. Feel free around here. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. This house is big enough for peace. Yes, Ma. Thank you, Ma, Amara replied with a small smile. After some conversation and refreshments, they walked back to the boys' quarters. That evening, after sweeping the compound and arranging the small kitchen, Amara sat on the edge of the bed, her heart full but unsure. Ebuka was crouched on the floor, fixing a loose handle on the wardrobe. Ebuka, she called softly. Yes. Can I tell you something? Of course. She wrung her fingers together, her voice a whisper. When my father told me to follow you, I felt like a piece of trash, like I didn't matter. Ebuka turned slowly, listening. I thought you might treat me even worse than him. I thought maybe this was another punishment. But you didn't. You gave me rest. You respected me. You even cooked for me. Her voice broke. I want to say thank you. I don't regret coming here anymore. Maybe this is what God planned all along. Ebuka sat beside her, gently holding her hand. I would never hurt you, Amara. That's not the man I want to be. He paused, then smiled shyly. I liked you from the very first day I saw you at the farm. I wanted to approach your father properly, but I was scared he would laugh in my face because I had nothing. He looked into her eyes. So when he said I could take you as payment, I was shocked, but deep down I felt like a door had just opened. Amara looked down. I don't love you yet, Ebuka. I know, he said quickly. I'm not rushing you. She looked up at him slowly. But I like how you see me, how you treat me like I'm not a mistake, like I'm a queen. He smiled. That's because you are. You're a queen who was hidden in the wrong palace. She laughed through her tears, and for the first time in a long while, she felt seen. Love hadn't fully bloomed yet, but something strong had begun. Respect, peace, and trust. A month passed, and life began to glow brighter for Amara. Each morning she woke up in the boys' quarters with gratitude in her heart. She cooked meals she had never tried before, often writing down recipes in a small notebook Ebuka had gifted her. Every day, her confidence grew. One afternoon, while helping Madame Nenena carry groceries into the main house, the older woman turned to her and said, "Amara, come sit with me for a moment." Amara wiped her hands on a towel and sat beside her in the elegant sitting room. Madame Nenena smiled thoughtfully. "Ebuka told me you're a wonderful cook," she began, "and I must say I agree. You've been helping around here, and I see your heart. You're humble, hardworking." "Thank you, Ma," Amara replied shyly. "My cook recently moved abroad with her family," Madame Nenena continued, "and I've been needing someone trustworthy to take her place. I've been watching you closely. I believe you're the right person." Amara's eyes widened. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Tears sprang to her eyes. "Ma, thank you. I don't know what to say. May God bless you." "You deserve it, my dear," Madame Nenena said, patting her hand. "You've earned it." Amara sniffled and smiled. "Ma, can I share something with you?" "Of course. I want to go to school, to further my education and attend university. That's my dream, but I've never had the chance." The woman's face lit up with delight. "You want to go to university?" "Yes, Ma. I stopped after secondary school because of family issues. But I love learning." Madame Nenena reached out and hugged her warmly. "My child, I love girls who love education. That's a beautiful dream, and I'm proud of you." Amara felt her heart swelling with emotion. "Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much." She finished her tasks and rushed back to the boys' quarters, her slippers slapping excitedly against the pavement. "Ebuka! Ebuka!" she called, beaming with joy. He stepped out of the room, surprised. "What's going on? Why are you shouting like that?" "You won't believe it," she grinned from ear to ear. "Madame Nenena said I should become the new cook." Ebuka's eyes widened. "Seriously?" "Yes, and she'll pay me monthly. I also told her I want to go to university, and she was really happy." He pulled her into a proud embrace. "That's my wife, my working-class wife." "Stop it, Ebuka," she said, laughing. "No, I mean it," he replied, holding her hands. "You've come so far, from suffering in the village to smiling in the city, from rejection to celebration." Amara nodded, her smile softening. "It feels like a dream." "And the best part?" Ebuka added, his eyes gleaming. "The dream is just beginning." That night they lay side by side on their bed. Though the day had been long, Amara couldn't sleep. Her thoughts swirled like wind in her chest. She turned to him. "Ebuka." "Yes," he replied without turning. She hesitated. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything," he said, rolling over to face her. "Why haven't you, touched me since I came here?" Ebuka blinked. The question caught him off guard. "I mean," she continued, voice low, "we're married. Another man would have taken advantage of that the very first night." Ebuka sat up slowly and leaned against the wall. "You're right, Amara. A lot of men would have, but I'm not like those men. I didn't bring you here to use you. I brought you here to care for you." He looked her in the eye. "You've been through too much. Even when you smile, I see the pain behind it. I won't add to that pain." Tears welled in Amara's eyes. "I want you to be ready," he said softly, "to love me in your own time, when your heart is at peace. Not because of pressure, not because you think you owe me." He held her hand. "You've never known what it means to be cherished. But I see you, Amara. You're not nothing, you're everything. And when your heart says yes, not from fear, but from love, I'll be ready too." Amara wept silently. "You really mean that?" "I do. I want you to feel safe, with me, always." She wiped her tears and smiled gently. Thank you, Ebuka. You've changed my life. I used to think all men were like my father. But you're different. Ebuka leaned in and kissed her forehead. Sleep well, my queen. And for the first time in her life, Amara felt truly safe cradled, not just in the arms of a husband, but in the embrace of a friend. Only 2 days after Amara began her new role as the cook in Madame Nenena's main house, something unexpected occurred. That morning she was in the kitchen preparing her signature vegetable soup. The scent of sautéed onions and sliced ugu leaves filled the air when the door creaked open behind her. She turned, and standing at the entrance was a tall, handsome young man. He stared at her with wide eyes, momentarily frozen. It was Chinedu, Madame Nenena's only son. He broke into a slow, mischievous smile. "Damn," he said, stepping in. "You're beautiful." Amara blinked, unsure of how to respond. "My mom told me about you," he continued, strolling in with relaxed confidence. "Said you were smart, humble, hardworking, and beautiful. But honestly, I thought she was exaggerating. Until now." He leaned against the counter, letting his eyes wander from her head to her feet. "Wow, girl, you're so fine. God must have taken his sweet time when he made you." Amara looked down quickly, heart pounding, pretending to focus on her cooking. "Good afternoon, sir," she said quietly. "Come on," he scoffed, waving his hand. "Don't call me sir. That makes me feel old. Call me Chinedu." She shook her head. "I can't. It's not proper." "You're so respectful," he said, flashing another grin. "I like that." She didn't respond, hoping the silence would make him leave. After a few more awkward minutes, Chinedu finally walked out of the kitchen, but not without a lingering glance that left Amara deeply unsettled. That evening, back at the boys' quarters, Ebuka was waiting for her outside on a wooden bench. "Welcome back, my queen," he said with his usual cheer. "How was work today?" Amara sat beside him, her smile faint. "Ebuka, something happened." He turned to her, instantly concerned. "What is it? Are you okay?" She nodded. "Yes, but your boss's son, Chinedu, he came into the kitchen." "Okay," Ebuka said, watching her face carefully. "He said some things that made me really uncomfortable. He kept complimenting me, saying I'm beautiful, that I should stop calling him sir. And the way he looked at me," she shuddered. Ebuka frowned but then gave a half smile. "Ah, Chinedu. He's a playful one. That's just how he jokes." Amara didn't smile. "Ebuka, I didn't like it. He looked at me like I was food." Ebuka laughed softly and took her hand. "Don't let it bother you. He's harmless, just talkative." Amara looked him in the eye. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," he said reassuringly. "But if he ever crosses the line, tell me. I'll protect you. Always." She nodded slowly. "Okay. If you say so." He kissed her forehead gently. "You're safe with me, Amara. Always." But deep inside, Amara's heart remained restless. There was something about Chinedu's eyes that disturbed her. Something that warned her this was just the beginning. A few days later, Amara was in the kitchen again, carefully preparing lunch. She had just finished peeling some yam slices when she felt the weight of eyes on her back. She turned, and there was Chinedu, standing in the doorway, watching her silently. "You know," he said with that familiar smile, "there's something magical about the way you cook." Amara greeted him, her voice calm but guarded. "Good afternoon, sir." He ignored the formality. "Amara, I've been thinking. I won't waste your time. Let me just say it straight." She looked at him, unsure of what was coming. "I like you," Chinedu said, stepping closer. "I'm serious. You're beautiful, intelligent, and hardworking. I'm not just throwing compliments. I mean it. I want you to be my woman." Amara froze. "I can change your life," he continued. "I'll send you to school. Not just any school. You can study abroad, London, Canada, anywhere. I'll buy you a new phone, fine clothes, money every week. Everything you've ever dreamed of." He was now just a few steps away, his voice low and confident. "You're wasting time with that poor gatekeeper." "What has he done for you?" "Nothing. If you say yes, I'll talk to my mom. We'll get rid of him peacefully. He can go. You, on the other hand, can start living. Amara stared at him, trying to steady her breathing. She stepped back and spoke clearly. With all due respect, sir, I am not interested. Chinedu blinked. What? I am focused on my marriage, my work, and my dream of going to school. I won't trade that for temporary pleasure. He chuckled darkly. Marriage? Don't tell me you're calling that thing you have with Ebuka a marriage. I am, she said firmly, and I'm proud of it. He treats me with love and respect. He may not have much now, but I know God will bless him. Chinedu scoffed. You're dreaming. I'd rather dream with a man who loves me than live a lie with someone who only wants to use me. He stepped back, clearly irritated. You'll regret this. No, sir, she replied. If choosing the man who stood by me when no one else did is a mistake, then I'll happily make it again and again. Chinedu stared at her in disbelief before turning and storming out of the kitchen. Oh. That evening, Amara returned to the boys' quarters. Her face was heavy with worry. Ebuka noticed immediately. My queen, you're quiet. What's wrong? Amara looked into his eyes, tears building. Chinedu came to me again, she said. This time he made big promises. A new life abroad, money, clothes, everything, but only if I agree to be his girl. Ebuka's face darkened. He stood slowly, his fist clenched. He said he could get you sacked, or pay you off, she added. All so he can take me. Ebuka closed his eyes, then calmed himself when he saw the pain on her face. What did you tell him? He asked. I said no, she whispered. I told him I'm not interested, that I believe in you, in us, that I know God will bless you. Ebuka walked to her and wrapped his arms around her tightly. Thank you, Amara, he said softly. Thank you for standing by me. She smiled weakly, wiping her tear. You stood by me first, now it's my turn. That night they knelt and prayed together, but deep in Amara's heart, she knew this wasn't over yet. The next morning, Amara woke early, swept the house, and prepared breakfast as usual, but her spirit was restless. She was tired of carrying the weight alone, tired of smiling through discomfort. Chinedu's words echoed in her mind, and more than that, Madame Ninnena's silence worried her. She needed to put an end to it. Without hesitation, she walked to the main house and knocked gently. Madame Ninnena opened the door, as elegant and warm as always. Amara, my daughter, she said with a smile. Good morning. Hope you slept well. Good morning, Ma, Amara replied, her tone softer than usual. She avoided eye contact. Madame Ninnena tilted her head. You don't look yourself. Come inside. Amara stepped in and took a deep breath. Ma, I came to speak with you. Please don't be offended. Of course not, dear. What's the matter? It's about your son, Chinedu. At once, Madame Ninnena's expression changed. He's been making me uncomfortable, Amara said, her voice low but steady. He says things, promises me things, tells me to leave my husband and be with him. He says he'll send me abroad, give me money, clothes, if I agree to be his woman. And if I refuse, he'll get Ebuka sacked. Madame Ninnena's eyes widened slightly, then narrowed again as she folded her arms. Silence filled the room. Amara's voice trembled. Ma, I respect you. I respect this home, but I can't take this anymore. I came to do my job and live in peace. After a pause, Madame Ninnena leaned back in her chair and said, Amara, you're a beautiful and intelligent young woman. Maybe my son sees your potential. Maybe you should consider his offer. Amara's eyes widened. Ma? I'm not saying leave your husband just like that, Madame Nena continued calmly. But think about it. We can give you everything you want. Education, comfort, even Ebuka will benefit. We can settle him, help him start something small. Amara stood up slowly, her hands shaking but her voice controlled. With all due respect, Ma, I'm not that kind of woman. Madame Nena remained quiet. I didn't marry Ebuka because of money. I married him because when I had nothing, he gave me dignity. When my own father discarded me like a worn-out wrapper, he gave me worth. Tears filled Amara's eyes, but she didn't look away. I'll rather leave this house than betray the man who saved me. If your son doesn't stop this nonsense, we'll pack our things and go. I won't stay in a place where I'm disrespected. Without waiting for a response, Amara turned around and walked out, head high, tears falling, her footsteps fierce with certainty. Back at the boys' quarters, her heart thundered. She couldn't believe the conversation she had just had. She had stood up to Chinedu. She had stood up to Madame Nenena. And though she was scared, she was proud. This was her line, and she had drawn it clearly. Amara stormed back into the boys' quarters, her chest rising and falling with every breath. Her cheeks were wet, but her spirit was strong. The insult still burned in her memory. How a woman she respected tried to buy her, like she was a piece of furniture. How could Madame Nenena place a price tag on her loyalty? But just as she was calming herself, her eyes caught something unexpected. Stacks of money, bundled tightly, sat on the corner table, glistening in the room's soft light. She froze. Her heart skipped. "Ebuka!" she called, her voice sharp and confused. "What is this? Where did you get all this money from?" Ebuka stood slowly from the bed, his expression calm and unreadable. "My love," he said gently, "please come and sit." Amara walked slowly toward him, still eyeing the cash. "Ebuka, talk to me. What's going on?" He smiled faintly. "This money, I've been saving it for years, little by little. I was planning to use it to start my dream business." She blinked, still struggling to process. "But what has that got to do with me?" He looked her squarely in the eye. "After what you did today, standing up for me, choosing me over comfort and wealth, I realized something. You deserve more. You've always dreamed of going to university, right?" Amara nodded slowly, her lips parting. "Then use this money," Ebuka said. "Go to school, fulfill your dream. I'll be okay." Amara stood there speechless, then shook her head. "No, Ebuka, I can't. I'm serious," he insisted. "You've earned this. Let me give it to you." "And I'm serious too," she said firmly, rising to her feet. "No, Ebuka, I won't take it." His eyes narrowed in surprise. "But why?" Her voice quivered with passion. "Because this is your dream, Ebuka. You sweated for this money. You saved it for years. You wanted to build something with it. And now you want to give it up because of me? That's not fair." He stepped closer. "But I love you." "And I love you too," she replied, eyes glistening. "That's why we're going to use this money wisely, together. Let's rent a small shop, a little place of our own. Start a food business. You'll run it. I'll help cook and manage. When things are stable, I'll go to school, step by step." Ebuka stared at her, overwhelmed. "You want us to leave here?" "Yes," Amara said with finality. "I don't want to stay in this house anymore. Not after the disrespect. We may not have a mansion, but we deserve peace. Even if it's one room, let it be ours. A shop, a rented space, a fresh start." Ebuka took her hand slowly and looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. "Amara, you're not just beautiful. You're wise. You're everything I prayed for." She smiled through her tears. "And you're the only man I want." He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. "Thank you for standing by me," she whispered softly. "I'll always stand by you." Then came the kiss, one born not of desperation or obligation, but of trust, of unity, of two people who had almost nothing, but everything in each other. That night they lay in each other's arms in silence. There were no grand words, just soft laughter and the warmth of shared purpose. As moonlight streamed through the curtain, Amara whispered, "Our better days are coming." Ebuka replied, "Yes, my queen, step by step, we'll get there, together." The next morning, Ebuka was nowhere to be found. Amara had woken up early, swept the room, arranged the shelves, and cleaned every corner. But her mind wasn't at ease. Her thoughts circled around the events of the day before. Her confrontation with Madame Nena, Chinedu's bold disrespect, and Ebuka's sacrifice. She had made her decision. They would leave, start afresh, and build something of their own. Just as she sat down to rest, a knock sounded at the door. She opened it, and her breath caught. There stood Madame Nenena and Chinedu. Amara stiffened. Her eyes darted between them. "Good morning, my daughter," Madame Nenena said gently. Chinedu stepped forward, his expression unusually serious. "Please, Amara, we came to apologize." Amara stood aside and let them in, her silence heavy. Madame Nenena sat first, folding her hands and speaking softly. "We're sorry for everything, for what my son said and for what I said too. We were wrong." Chinedu lowered his head. "I was foolish. I let pride and lust blind me, but now I see clearly. Ebuka is lucky. You're a real wife." Madame Nenena nodded. "He is lucky. You're rare, Amara. Women like you, they're not easy to find." Amara's eyes softened, but she didn't speak. Then Madame Nenena said something strange. "We called you our wife yesterday, and we meant it. You are our wife." Amara blinked in confusion. "Your wife? Ma, I don't understand." Madame Nenena smiled mysteriously. "You will, my dear, very soon." They stood up, gave her a gentle hug, and walked out, leaving her frozen by the door, puzzled, heart thumping. What did she mean? Amara thought. That evening, Ebuka returned, looking exhausted but pleased. She met him at the door, arms crossed. "Where have you been?" she asked sharply. "I've been waiting all day." "My love," he said, smiling faintly, "there's something I need to tell you." She narrowed her eyes. "What now?" He took her hands and looked her in the eye. "Amara, I'm sorry." Her brows drew closer. "Sorry for what?" He inhaled slowly. "For lying to you." Her heart skipped. "Lying? About what?" Ebuka exhaled deeply and sat down. "Chinedu, he's not just the landlady's son." She froze. "He's my younger brother, and Madame Nenena. She's not just my boss. She's my mother." Amara gasped, her knees weakening. "What?" He nodded. "It's true. I'm sorry. I didn't plan to keep it a secret this long. I just needed to know if someone could love me for who I am, not for my background, not for my wealth." He looked down, guilt written all over his face. "I've been heartbroken so many times. Women who claimed to love me only stayed for the money. When I stopped spending, they left. So I came here, as a security guard, just to see." Amara sat slowly, stunned. You went that far?" "I did," he said, "and I was wrong. You have every right to be angry, but please, forgive me." There was a long silence, then Amara gave him a teasing side-eye. "Okay, I forgive you, but you owe me." He chuckled. "What do I owe you?" She folded her arms. "A car and a mansion for lying to me." Ebuka burst into laughter. "Consider it done, my queen." They both laughed, the tension melting. Amara jumped into his arms. "I love you so much, Ebuka," she whispered. "And I love you even more, Dr. Amara to be," he replied, holding her tightly. They kissed deeply, this time with no more secrets, no more pretending. The truth was out. Their foundation was now built not only on trust, but also on truth. And the news? It spread like wildfire. Ebuka, the humble security man, was actually a billionaire in disguise. Word spread through the village of Umoke like a harmattan fire, fast and uncontrollable. Ebuka, the poor farmhand who had left with Paifeanyi's unwanted daughter, was not poor at all. He was a billionaire, and Amara, the girl once treated like a rag, was now living in wealth, love, and grace. When Paifeanyi heard the news, he nearly dropped his calabash of palm wine. "Amara," he muttered, his hands trembling. He grabbed his phone and called her immediately. "My daughter, please forgive me. I was blind. I didn't know God had blessed you like this," he stammered. Amara was silent. "I want your stepsister to come live with you in the city. Things are hard here." Amara let out a slow breath. Then calmly she replied, "With all due respect, sir, never." "Amara, please." I forgive you, Papa, she said, but I want to stay far from you and your wife. I suffered too much in your house. If there's an emergency, fine, you can call me. But please, never call me for nonsense again. Take care of your wicked wife. She ended the call and dropped the phone on the table. Then looking upward, she whispered, "Thank you, Jesus, for bringing Ebuka into my life." Years later, Amara stood in her white doctor's coat, walking proudly across the graduation stage. A qualified medical doctor. Ebuka was the loudest person in the crowd. "That's my wife! Come here, you beautiful big woman!" After the ceremony, he hugged her tightly. "I'm so proud of you, baby. You're mine forever." She beamed, her eyes shimmering. "Thank you for believing in me, Ebuka. Thank you for everything. You're the world's best husband." He smiled. "And you're my forever queen." Sometime later, Ebuka took Amara for a peaceful drive through one of the city's most luxurious estates. As the sun dipped low, casting golden light across the marble buildings, he parked in front of a magnificent white mansion with gold-trimmed gates. Amara's brows furrowed. "Why are we here?" Ebuka grinned and handed her a shiny set of keys. "This is your mansion, my queen." She gasped. "Ebuka, stop playing." "I'm serious," he said. "I promised you a car and a mansion." And here they are. Amara threw her arms around him, crying and laughing at the same time. "You're unbelievable." Then she stepped back, her eyes suddenly glowing with a secret of her own. "I also have good news," she said softly. "What is it?" Ebuka asked, smiling. "I went for a test last week. I'm 3 months pregnant." He stood still for a moment, then erupted with joy. "Amara, are you serious?" "Yes," she laughed. "We're going to have a baby." Ebuka lifted her off the ground and spun her in circles, shouting praises. "God, thank you. I'll spoil you and our baby forever." He knelt and kissed her stomach tenderly. "My baby, Daddy loves you already." Amara stroked his head with tears in her eyes. "From being rejected to becoming royalty," she said softly. "Now I know. My name wasn't just a name. It was a prophecy. I am Amara, God's grace.